video, we're going to touch on interior design. Going to show you guys what I actually decided to do. I know in previous videos and in the beginning, I've touched on a few things that I wanted to do. In the very beginning of this, I said, we're going to make this into a Kirotaka. That's the one I had years ago. I loved it. It was great. Like I always say, a skiff in every sense of its meaning. And I loved it because it was a great back bay boat. It was great for lakes and rivers. You could just do everything inshore on it that I like to do. And it travels well because this is a 17-foot boat. Very, very easily trailered, very easily stored in your yard. If you wanted to get into boating, these boats, if you find them for sale and you find them relatively cheap, grab them. Because if the hulls are in good condition and you can redo them or just make them functional, they're great boats for someone who wants to just get into boating and be on the water. With all that being said, it's time now to move forward with how I'm going to design the inside of this boat. And I moved away from the Kirotaka design, and I don't want to go on and on about why. It's just a lot of it, supply chain issues, cost. I did plan on designing my own when I couldn't get the kit that they sell. Specialty Marine offers the kit, roughly $1,600. Was I willing to pay it? In the beginning, I'm like, well, yeah, I was. But then I started to think about it, and then when I was thinking about ordering it, I checked on the website and not available. And there was a bit of a wait to get one. So that kind of forced me to pivot and move away from that idea. Then I figured I'll build it myself. I would buy the wood, design it, measure it, do it. I had all the pictures of my old one when I took it out, so I had references to go by. But when I started to do the wood and the estimate, it was getting to be expensive. I was close to $1,000 just in material, and I was just not comfortable with going that route. In the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about when I redo a boat, making it mine, the way I really want it. I did like that design. I could certainly be happy with the Kirotaka layout, but making my own console was always in the back of my mind, and it was always kind of the idea I wanted to do. Mostly because, again, I've challenged myself in many aspects of this build, and that would be a pretty good challenge. But my ace in the hole is my brother Jimmy. He lives in Virginia, he has a complete woodworking shop. So I had a conversation with him, and he was absolutely all for it. He was like, yeah, Rob, look, do a mock-up, show me what you want, we'll do it. And ultimately, that is what I decided to do. So luckily, this boat came with a pretty beefy mahogany bench seat. I'm actually sitting on it right now. And in my old design, I had a 15-gallon tank, a low, I think it's only like literally like 15 inches high off the deck, sits underneath the bench. I'm going to show you guys exactly how the boat will look. It's a mock-up. It obviously won't be the finished product console-wise, and even in the bench seat, because the bench seat needs to be sanded and refinished, and I'll do all that, and I'll definitely show you. But this video, not a long video, but just to give you an idea of what we're going to be looking like going forward with the interior of the boat. And that's what I want to show you. Okay, basically what you're seeing here is a mock-up of what I want to go with. Okay, now keep in mind, nothing is anchored down and permanently mounted in here. It is basically laid in the boat to give you guys an idea of how we're going to proceed moving forward. So as you can see, this is the bench seat that came with it. It's pretty wide, it's 3 planks. I believe my old one was 2. So it's very, very wide and comfortable, and I'll have a cushion made for that. Underneath, you'll see, is the fuel tank. Okay, that's a 15-gallon fuel tank, more than enough fuel for the boat. Definitely a 90 Suzuki is going to be very efficient sipping gas from this gas tank. And as you can see, I have the hole here to run from the fuel pickup to the motor. Now, I have an alternative plan if that doesn't work. So going forward, if that's a problem, I could always run the fuel line sideways here and come down this ridge. I apologize for my tripod being in the way, but you guys can tell. And it'll run along the back of the boat and into the motor rigging where it'll get its fuel, if that hole is an issue. Okay, as you can see, this bench is pretty good quality. It is sturdy. It has no give in it when I sit on it. I weigh about 220 pounds, so you know I'm a good test person for that. And again, where you could see this under support piece, we're going to move that and go with 2 separate ones on each side of the fill valve or the fill hole. So if I want, I can move this up and have access to the fill through the bench seat. So taking all that into consideration, just to give us options on how we're going to mount the tank in this boat. And now the console that I mocked up, as you can see, did a cardboard mock-up of the console, basically designed it from scratch. It is a perfect fit and low. It allows me to sit in this boat the way I want. I want to be sitting in the boat behind the wheel. I will have side hatches for access. All that stuff will be, you know, factored into the build. I angled it up in such a way that when I do put the helm on, the helm will be a tilt helm. So it'll allow me to angle it up if I have to stand. And then obviously I have room for my controls to be right next to it. So I have plenty of room here to mount my controls. And in the front, I've got plenty of room to mount a doorway hatch so I can get in there and maintenance stuff. You know, if I had to lay down in there to do some rigging, I'll pick the right style. I know they have the lift out ones on Boat Outfitters. That's probably what I may lean towards. I'm not sure yet. I'll consult with my brother on what he thinks. He may want to fabricate something going forward, and who knows what ideas I get there. But this is what we're looking like. Okay, that's the interior of the boat. I have a piece that covers this perfectly too. It's of the same quality as the bench, 3/4 mahogany. I'll refinish it. It's 2 slats of wood. There is a middle seam, but that's okay. It'll cover this. I'll make a way that it mounts on there so it doesn't bounce around and rattle, and it'll keep this covered. Okay, there is a drain plug in it, as you can see. That's the hole, and then the water could come out. Now, that's going to leave me a lot of room to do some marine mat work. As you've heard me mention many times, this floor is going to have marine mat, and I want it to be able to drain properly. So there'll be some, you know, there'll be marine mat all around this console, okay, and all in this back transom, especially back here. But what I'm especially excited about is if you look in the back, and I don't know if the camera really shows it, but there's a lot of room back here to fish. I mean, if you're going to be standing in a back bay or in a river, that's a lot of room for me to work stuff. Or if I'm out crabbing, I could put a lot of traps back here. Go set some traps, go out and fish a little bit, come back and check my traps. I could put a good amount of traps back here. So that's nice. Okay, so you're seeing basically how I'm going to go about designing the inside of this boat. And I'm pretty happy and excited to be moving forward. Now that I know what I'm doing, I'm really excited for how it's going to come out. Okay, so pretty much this is what it looks like sitting in the boat. So I got my wheel here, tilt wheel. I got my controls all right here. So pretty much I got a functional console which is wide enough to be attached to the wood that lays underneath the floor. I do have the wood diagram. Basically it'll be 28 inches by 32. The height of the console is about 27 inches, and I needed to be sitting in the boat to really pick the proper height that I wanted for this console to be designed at. So I'm really, really happy with it. I think if it was lower, that would be an issue. I want to be able to stand up when you have a boat go by you in the back bay, or you're coming in and out of a channel, or you know, you're on plane and you're cruising across a wide open space of water. I do a lot of boating on the Raritan Bay here in New Jersey. It's a big open body of water, a lot of room to roam. You got a lot of boats darting in every different direction. And of course you got yahoos out there that really don't know what they're doing. And if they go in front of you with a big deep wake, I want to be able to get off the bench, stand up, and kind of, you know, do what I got to do at times. And I used to do that on my old boat. A lot of the stuff I'm doing here, I reference off of my experience with my other boat. However, this being the way I wanted it to be on, these corners will all be rounded. The design of this will be rounded. We will be taking it we'll be making this out of marine plywood. And we'll be wrapping it in 1708 cloth. So you'll be able to see me actually do some fiberglass work. I did a lot of fiberglass work before I started to make videos on restoring this boat. I did it in the bow on the hull. I did touch on it in the earlier videos. If you watch those first two videos, you can see that hole when it was all patched and faired before it was painted to see how big it was. But when I tell you, we drove an aluminum piece of metal right through it on the way home. We flatbedded the whole boat home, and unfortunately that was a little mishap that I had to take care of. But I did it. It came out beautiful, and you can't even tell when you look at the bow of the boat. Very happy with that result. And obviously in the back, we had some rips at the top of the transom, and we filled and glassed every hole. So when we put the new motor on, we'll drill fresh holes, and it'll be to the pattern of that new motor. I didn't want to have any issues with holes from old motors not matching the new motors. I just wanted to make sure that we started with what I like to call a fresh piece of paper. So all that being said, designing the console is what we ultimately chose. It's what we're ultimately going to do. And next week, I'll be heading out to my brother's place in Virginia. We'll be in the shop. We'll be doing this boat. We'll be doing this build. We'll build this whole console. You guys are going to see, and I'll do a video on everything that we've done from scratch to finish, from the actual build from plywood to how I wrap it in fiberglass and how I fair it and ultimately paint it. It'll be white. I'm not going to do it blue. I think that's just too much blue. I think the white will offset it a little bit. Again, hatches, I'm not sure if I'm going to go with mahogany ones if I can find them or make them. Certainly won't cost me close to $1,000, but we may try to do something along those lines. And then obviously the hatch in the front. So that's going to do it for this video. Just a little quick show and tell of what's to come. Like I said, no more painting. I'm not rolling paint anymore. We're building this boat now from the inside out. I'll be up at the boat show next weekend, or actually on the 16th, that's a Thursday, up in Edison at the New Jersey Expo Center. The show is the New Jersey Boat Expo. And Browns Point Marina is going to have my motor on display at that show. And we're going to go there. We're going to finish up our deal and make arrangements to get it mounted, and a lot of exciting stuff. I mean, to me, that's huge. I honestly thought I was going to have to wait a long time. I really got lucky, and I'm just excited to go up there and see it, touch it, look at it, pull the cowling off, see what I actually have and what I'll be putting on the back of this boat. So super excited. Guys, once again, I can't thank you enough for following along. I love doing this stuff. I love sharing this build with you guys. And if you've been watching, thank you. And if you're just jumping on board, check out some of the other videos, see how we got to this point. And if you haven't, like it, subscribe, doesn't cost anything. And we're going to be doing a lot more, because when this is done, it's going to be out on the water, and we're going to be fishing off it, and we're going to be taking it all over the place, up and down the Parkway in New Jersey. We're going to take it to Maryland. We're going to take it to Rhode Island. We're going to take it everywhere. That's the reason I wanted to have a boat like this. I do have a bigger boat. I'll be out on that a lot too this summer. I have a 24 sailfish with a big 300 Suzuki on the back of that, and that's my go-to. But we're just adding this one to the fleet, and looking forward to getting out and having a lot of fun on it, and looking to bring you guys along with me. So once again, thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the great comments. Thanks for all the encouragement. I've gotten so much encouragement from people messaging me and just telling me they love the videos and they're excited to see what ultimately becomes of this boat. So, little sneak peek. Hope you like it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.